right, let's get started. Day 5, last day, best day. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. I feel like we are going to nail the tech today. Friends, we did it. Day 5. If you are watching on the replay, welcome. You did it. We are here. It is day 5. I am fired up. Let's get this party started. 5 days ago, we started the masterclass, how to feel more like yourself again in midlife. And this is it. This is day 5. What we're going to talk about today is it's time to choose. It's decision making time. Do you want the life you have or the one you want? Today's all about the invitation to finally put yourself first and create the life you've been craving. Sounds pretty incredible, doesn't it? There were another 10 amazing women who raised their hand after I ended day 4. I don't know if they had the chance to pick up and watch the replays. I don't know if all of you have had the chance to watch the replays. So let's just do a quick recap of where we have gone over the last week. Day 1 was called Why You Don't Feel Like Yourself After Fixing Your Midlife Body. We spent a good chunk of time talking about the fact that this is not a physical issue. So many of us are focused on addressing the physical symptoms of midlife. So the hormones or the weight gain, the brain fog, eating God amounts, so much protein, right? We started strength training. Those are all physical symptoms. You've been doing that, and yet you still don't feel like yourself in midlife. And that's because addressing the physical symptoms of midlife, not enough to feel like yourself again in midlife. We discussed that there is a massive industry invested in you feeling like you're not enough. We talked a lot of facts and figures. We showed some old advertisements. I mean, the 5.6 trillion, I think I've got that number right. $5.6 trillion industry for the wellness industry. They are making money by marketing to you that you somehow need to fix yourself. That's not right. This massive industry makes money making you feel like you're not enough. We talked about the fact that this is not a willpower issue. Most of us were raised in a system that teaches women to disconnect from themselves. So we are outsourcing our power. We are outsourcing our decision making. We are showing up in a people pleasing way because that's what we've been taught. We need to get back in touch with who we are and what's important to us, which landed on the whole concept of the real midlife fix, the one that you actually need, with fix in air quotes. That's an inside job. It has nothing to do with your physical body. Day 2, we talked about the wake up call every woman gets in midlife. And this was all about normalizing what you're feeling. It's about validating your feelings. It's not just you. You are not the only one feeling this way. There is a reason you start questioning yourself a little bit, that you start feeling a little different in midlife. And that's because of all of the big shifts. We talked a lot about the identity shift. We, of course, talked about hormonal shifts. We talked about relationship shifts. It's all coming together at exactly the same time that you're going through perimenopause and menopause. So it just amplifies what you're feeling. For many of us, the other wake up call we get is we finally realize that we have fewer years ahead of us than we have already lived, right? We've lived more years than we have ahead of us. So then we start wondering, well, is this it? I mean, how can I make the most of the time that I have left? And you start realizing that you've built a life on doing things that you should, in air quotes, that you should do because of someone else's definition of success, again, in air quotes. When we finally come to that realization that we have built this life on doing things that we should do based on what success means to society, then we start asking ourselves different questions. And it's that whole idea of what was working for me isn't working for me now. Why is that? Why all of a sudden am I waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning asking myself, what's next for me? Or is this it? We never did that before. Why are we doing it now? And it's simply just how midlife works. It's simply because of those identity shifts and the hormonal shifts, and you realizing that time is getting shorter. We wrapped up day 2 by explaining that midlife is an opportunity. It is not a crisis. Everyone has told us that it's a crisis, that when we feel differently, it's somehow a crisis. It absolutely is not. Midlife's an opportunity. From there, we moved on to day 3. That was all about time to switch it up, because what got you here won't get you there. We spent a lot of time on day 3 talking about why the old strategies aren't working for us anymore. We used to be very accustomed to hustle, achieve, gold stars, follow the success checklist. We had this idea that if we didn't have the thing that we wanted, all we had to do was work a little harder, and then we'd finally have what we wanted. We had this idea that what we needed was at the next achievement or after the next promotion or after the next job, constantly looking for validation and approval and achievement at the next milestone. But we finally get to midlife and we finally realize that those strategies, those aren't working for us anymore. So I offered up a different strategy for you. And that is this whole idea of curiosity, clarity, courage, and confidence. What I meant by that is you need the curiosity to ask yourself some new questions. From there, you need some clarity on what you actually want. Then we move into courage. You know what you want. You've had the curiosity to ask new questions. You've got the clarity on what you want. Now I need you to have the courage to go after it and the confidence to keep moving in the direction of your dreams, because just because you decide that you want to move in a different direction, life is going to rear its ugly head on a random Tuesday. How do you keep going? How do you still have the confidence to keep moving in the direction of your dreams when life tries to throw you a curveball? It all comes down to needing new tools that support the woman you are in this season of life. We talked all about those tools and what they look like and how they can change your life. On day 4, I showed you a better way to do midlife. Day 4 was on Friday. It was very inspirational. I introduced you to some real women having real results after coaching. What this boiled down to was you can't live your best life if you don't actually know what it looks like. So we spend a lot of time in relying on the 3 pillars of the best life framework. What do you actually want in your life? What does success mean to you? What does your best life look like? We want clarity on those things so that we can create a life for ourselves, a life of legacy, impact, fulfillment, and excitement. I introduced you to 3 women in particular, but then 10 to 15, 20 different women who have gone through coaching. And these women who have said yes to coaching, they are lit up, energized, completely aligned. And they didn't blow up their lives. They redesigned them. I think that there is some misconception that in order for you to go from where you are now to the life that you actually want to live, that you've got to completely press the reset button on your life, that you've got to blow it up. That's not what it is at all. All you just need to do is know what you want, get in alignment, and then redesign your life based on what it is that you want. You don't have to blow up your life at all. We also showed that you can absolutely change your life. It's absolutely possible to change your life in just 8 weeks, which is exactly how long the lab is. So last day, best day, day 5, it's time to choose the life you have or the one you want. And we're going to start by just talking about this whole idea that if you want to feel like yourself in midlife, you have to turn your attention to who you are in this season of life. The reason that you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, the reason that you don't feel like yourself in midlife isn't because you don't have your hormones dialed in or you're not eating enough protein or you're not getting enough sleep. Sure, that plays a part into it. But what happens after you have fixed all of those physical symptoms? You've addressed all of them and you still don't feel like yourself in midlife. It's because you don't trust yourself. You don't know who you are in this season of life. And because you don't know who you are in this season of life, you don't trust yourself in the way that you should. Decision making is tough. You don't actually know what you want. So, how do we change that? How do I know that you're ready for something new? You raised your hand for this masterclass. You saw an ad on the internet, on Instagram or Facebook, or you read something in my newsletter. And this whole idea about fixing yourself in midlife, you said, you know what? That resonates with me. I want to get in that masterclass. I want to see what Laurie has to say because that's exactly how I feel. I have everything dialed in as it relates to the physical piece. I still don't feel like myself. How can I change that? That tells me that you are absolutely ready for something new. You are ready to do midlife in a different way. You raised your hand for this masterclass. I also want to say, when I say that you're ready for something new, I want to reiterate this whole idea that you don't have to burn it all down, that you don't have to start over. Most of the women that I coach, they would say that they are 60, 65, 70, 75% all the way to living their best life, which means no burning down required. All we have to do is make some small intentional tweaks to get you back in alignment, to bring you back to the person that you are right now, to actually get to know her. Not the person you were 20 or 30 years ago when you made these big life decisions about what kind of job do I want and who am I going to marry and where am I going to live? But decisions that align with who you are right now. Let's talk about what happens inside the lab. Let's talk about what happens when you start living in alignment with the person that you are now. You stop overthinking your life and you start trusting yourself and your decisions. What does that actually look like? That sounds great, right? But what does it actually look like? You stop daydreaming about making a change without ever taking any action. How many of us sit around thinking about, oh, wouldn't it be great to travel here? Or when I have more time, I'm going to start playing pickleball. Or when the time is right, I'm finally going to put my health first. We have all these daydreams, these ideas about what it is that we actually want to do. But many of us stay stuck. They stay daydreams. What happens though in our life? What is possible when we stop daydreaming and we start taking action in the direction of those daydreams? What else happens? We stop crowdsourcing opinions and start trusting our own intuition. When I mean crowdsourcing our opinions, I mean asking everybody else's opinion about what you should do. How often have you been super excited about something and you bring it to a friend or your spouse, you present it to them, and their response is lukewarm at best. Lukewarm. If you just got into action and did the thing, you started trusting your own intuition that that was the right decision for you, then you wouldn't need to start asking everybody else's opinion on something. You would just do it. And that leads to the ability to make decisions clearly and decisively. You can avoid that mental replay loop where you're ruminating about everything. Speaking of ruminating, wouldn't it be great to stop lying awake at 2:00 in the morning, replaying a conversation you had years ago, wondering if that woman is still mad at you? When we trust ourselves and we trust our decision making, we don't keep replaying things over and over again. We don't keep ruminating. We don't make a pro-con list and try and figure out, okay, should I move forward or shouldn't I? We might make the list, but we don't continue making the list. We actually get into action. And then we make some additional decisions after we got into action. Because if We made this pro con list and it's as long as it needs to be. We decide to go forward. We can still pivot. We can still make different decisions along the way. Maybe the best transformation that comes out of stopping the overthinking and trusting yourself is you get this mental clarity. You actually know what you want and what success means to you and what your best life looks like because you have stopped second guessing yourself. You trust yourself. It's something that most midlife women have stopped doing a long, long time ago. I want to go a little bit further on what happens when you stop outsourcing decisions about your life. When you do that, you stop constantly asking, what should I do? And you start checking in and start asking, what do I want? Do you see that's totally different? Instead of asking yourself, what should I do? That's not the question anymore. The question becomes, what do I want? We talked about crowdsourcing decisions because you don't trust yourself to get it right. We stop explaining ourselves or justifying our wants or priorities or next steps. We just start doing because we know that what we want is in alignment with who we are and where we want to be and the life we are building. We stop equating saying no with being selfish or difficult or unreliable. We were raised with this idea that when we say yes, we're supporting people. When we say no, we're being selfish, we're being difficult. Related to that, when we know what we want, we realize how often we say yes to avoid disappointing people, even when it costs us our own sanity or health, right? How often do we overcommit to things because we don't want to say no because that makes us look selfish or difficult, that we think that we're doing everyone else a favor around us by saying yes. We stopped doing that. We stopped putting ourselves last in our own life in the name of being good or easy or dependable, things that we were taught to value, things that we were told that's just how women are. Your life can be completely different when you start making decisions based on what's right for you without ever needing anyone to understand why you're making those decisions or giving you the seal of approval on them. You stop overcommitting and start protecting your time and energy. You stop filling your calendar out of obligation or habit. Yep, I can pick up the kids even though I've got a meeting. Or yes, I will absolutely drop everything and go help out your mother, even though I have a completely jam-packed schedule. You become more intentional about what gets your time and what doesn't. You feel less resentful because your time finally reflects your real priorities. You understand that boundaries aren't about letting people down. They're about honoring your time and energy. Boundaries are to provide you with safety. They're not about letting other people down. They're about protecting you and your time and your energy. We've talked about this whole realization that you likely have fewer years ahead of you than you've already lived. When you start protecting your own time and energy, then you become committed to living a life on your own terms, filling those boxes from the life grid from day one with as much life as possible. You also recognize that for many women, it takes a life-altering moment, whether that's a diagnosis or a divorce or a loss of a parent or a layoff, to really reevaluate and change how you're living in your life. But when you start actually protecting your time and energy, that's not you. You actually make a decision to start living a life that is in line with the person you are now without waiting for some life-altering moment. How do we do this? The 8-week Midlife Best Life Intensive in the lab is specifically set up to support all of those transitions. There is a sequence to everything we do in the lab. We start with an audit. That whole idea of nothing is wrong with me, that provides relief and validation. From there, we move into imagining your best life with this whole idea that I'm allowed to want more. You're stepping into your permission. You're giving yourself the ability to desire what you want. With that comes some discernment, the ability to make decisions again. From there, we move into designing your own life. And this is all about designing a life that actually feels like you. Along that way, you learn clarity, self-trust. After that, we go into planning your best life. This is, I know what matters and what doesn't. That's where we lean heavy into confidence and decisiveness. From there, we go into living your best life. This is when you can say, my life supports me now and the woman that I am in this season of life. This is all about energy and alignment. Then we step into become best life you. That feels like this is just who I am now. This is identity shift. This is ownership. And at the end of the 8 weeks, you get the tools to keep you going. This is so you don't backslide when life happens, when you get a curveball. This helps you with sustainability. 8 weeks, mind-boggling transformations. The clarity and confidence and self-trust that come from the intensive, that come from what you can experience on the other side of the lab, it's not by chance. It's not by chance. I have coached hundreds of midlife women through this. I understand the frameworks. I understand the strategies. I understand the science behind all of that. I also know that if you are thinking, if you're questioning yourself, like, is the lab the right thing for me? I'm going to tell you that there is a trust issue. And I don't want this to sound triggering or in your face about it, but the trust issue, I'd be willing to bet that's trust in yourself. Because I've proven to you that there is science behind everything that we teach here. I've coached hundreds of midlife women. I've got the strategies. I've got the frameworks. I can get you to living your best life. I can help you understand what you want. Get clarity on what success means to you. Get the confidence to know that you are actually moving in the direction that is meaningful to you. Friday, I introduced you to 3 women who have done amazing things. And then another 15 or 20 after that who have done incredible things with their life. Those 3 women, I I know that some of you on this call, you actually know those women. This is not AI. This is not ChatGPT. I didn't get on the computer and say, ChatGPT, please come up with some case studies for women who have made big transitions in midlife. No. This is actual transition, actual transformation, actually women stepping into, this is the life I was always meant to live. They're real. I know the frameworks work. I know the science behind it. Trust, I can get you there. That's why I have to think, if there's a trust issue, it's got to be on your side. And again, I don't mean to be confronting on this. I just want to be realistic. That if you were sitting there thinking to yourself, do I have the time? Do I have the money? Is this right for me? Do I need to ask my husband? You're not trusting yourself. And I think I know why that is. And it's because you have outsourced your opinions on how to move forward. You've given your decision-making power to other people. We need to get that back, and we can do that. Absolutely. I think the trust is also related to fear. I have a public podcast, the School of Midlife podcast, because you're in this masterclass. You have had access to my private podcast, More Than Menopause, but there is also a public podcast. that I drop new episodes every week. And last week, I talked a lot about fear in midlife. And this quote really resonated. I received so many emails or DMs about it. The quote is, faith and fear both demand that we believe in something we cannot see. You choose. That's Bob Proctor. It's so profound, isn't it? Faith and fear both demand that we believe in something we cannot see. But it's your choice. Are you going to move forward with the faith that you will figure it out, or the fear of what's going to happen to me? You get to choose faith or fear. Let's talk about fear. These are the three fears that come up most in the women I coach. What will they think of me? This is a fear of being judged. If I decide to take a big life swing, what will they think of me? If I actually decide to step away from the job or move to a different city or try something new, what will they think of me? How will I be judged? I've got news for you, my friend. They're going to judge you regardless of what you do. You might as well do the thing you want to do. If they're going to judge you anyway, you might as well do the thing that's going to get you closer to living your best life, the thing that is going to get you more in alignment with the woman you are in this season of life. I'll also mention that other people's opinions of you, really none of your business. I know we've spent a lot of our life worried about what are they going to think of me? What is their opinion of me? Because we want to be liked by everybody. But it's not reasonable. You can be the ripest strawberry in the basket. For somebody who doesn't like strawberries, you're never going to be enough. So let's stop outsourcing our worth and our value with other people's opinions. Let's move past that. Let's get rid of this whole worry, concern about being judged. The next one is, what if I'm not good enough? What if I take a big swing? What if I do the thing? What if I step out and I do the thing and I fail? Oh, this one hits hard for high achieving midlife women because we are used to being at the top of the pile. We are used to the gold stars. We are used to the promotions. We are used to being number one. What happens if we fail? Man, our relationship between success and failure, this whole idea that we either succeed or we fail and there's nothing in between, that is not serving us. I understand that's what we were taught, but it's not serving us. I remember when I ran my first marathon. Marathon is 26.2 miles. I told almost no one about it for the I ended up raising money for charity. So at that point, I did have to tell people about it. But for much of my training, I didn't say anything because I thought, well, one, I'm not even really a runner, but two, how in the hell do I expect to run 26.2 miles? And then I started training. And what I started telling myself is it's just 13 2-mile runs because there's a water station about every 2 miles. And I thought I can run 2 miles and I'll run 2 miles. I'll take in some water and I'll do it again. What if you fail? What if you fail? Who cares? I mean, this goes also back to the judgment, the fear of being judged. What will they think of me? What will they think of me if I fail? Again, they're going to judge you anyway. You might as well step up, try something new, adopt the beginner's mindset, learn the lessons along the way, and step more fully into who you are instead of being held back by what will they think of me? You might as well do the thing you want to do. They're going to think about you, how they think about you anyway, and that's completely out of your control. What about this one? What if I actually do the thing? What if I come up with this crazy big goal and I actually do it. That's fear of success. Most high achieving women have some piece of this. They feel like this responsibility to stay where they are because they're most concerned about what their friends and their family will think about them. See if this resonates. There's a responsibility piece to this, which is I'm responsible for taking care of everyone else. If I actually do something big, will I have the time to take care of them? Will I actually be able to meet their needs? Or I did the thing. I took a big swing. I hit it out of the park. And now they think I'm getting too big for my britches. Like I've outgrown them. What happens then? I want my community around me. I don't want to outgrow them. Your family, your friends, your community, the ones who really have your back, they're going to support you regardless. So you might as well do the thing. I received a couple of emails over the weekend from women who are considering the lab, and they're trying to figure out if the lab is the right thing. And there seems to be a lot of concern about what will my husband think if I actually figure out what I want and it's different than what I'm doing right now. And I want to talk about this whole concern that if I do what I want to do, what is my spouse going to think? Here's what I told those women. What if your happiness actually helped your marriage? Here's what I mean by that. When your spouse has had a tough day, you can tell as soon as he or she walks through the door, can't you? I mean, you can just feel it. You feel the energy, you can see the look on their face. You know, it's been a bad day. Like I should tread lightly. Maybe you want to ask about it. Maybe you want to wait until they settle down a little bit to ask about it. You can tell. Same with your spouse. If you are wildly happy pursuing things that light you up, you're going to be happier in your marriage. A rising tide lifts all boats. If you are unhappy with your life right now, your partner knows. Yeah, maybe you feel like you have been putting on this big smiley face. You have been acting as if things are great, acting as if you're not waking up with these big life questions like, what's next for me? And is this all there is? And I feel like something's missing in my life, but I don't know what it is. Your spouse feels that. Your spouse knows. So you getting to a point where you feel more excited about your life and happier and satisfied with everything that you have, that is actually going to have incredible ripple effects on your marriage. I've also been there. I remember, I know what it feels like to feel selfish, to want more. I remember saying to Mike, I'm going to quit my very lucrative, high paying job and do what? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to quit my job because I don't like who I've become there. It's not how I want to. I need something different. And I'll tell you what, his life is so much better since I quit my law job. I don't come home taking out all of my frustrations and aggression and anger. And we don't spend dinner time with like, you have to listen to what happened to me today. And I just unload on him. I don't do that anymore. He's happier. We're both happier. Our marriage is stronger because I'm doing something that feels good to me. I'm doing something that lights up the woman who I am now, not the 10-year-old who said she wanted to be an attorney and did everything in her life to make that goal a reality. Thank God. I'm so grateful for the woman I was 10 years ago, the 44-year-old who said, I'm going to take a chance on this. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I have to do something different. I'm telling you, if you are worried that you're going to leave your spouse behind, that things are going to get rocky in your marriage because you actually figure out what you want and what success means to you and what your best life looks like. It's possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible, but my experience has been once you start living in alignment with who you are and best life you, everything else is going to be happier in your life, including your marriage. A lot of women also think that they need to wait until the kids leave to pursue this work. Sure, I get that. But what I also want to say is stop waiting. You get one shot at this life. When are you going to actually live it for you? And think about the legacy you would show, the example you would set for your children. Here's what I mean by that. Your daughters see you do something you've always wanted to do. Maybe you're auditioning for a play in community theater. Maybe you are going on a solo trip to a country that you've never been before. Maybe it's not even something you're doing. Maybe you're finally cutting off communication with that toxic sibling who has never treated you well, has talked very badly about you, who is manipulative, who always wants just the worst for you. So he or she can look better to your parents. And you end that relationship. Your daughter sees you sticking up for yourself. Your daughter sees you modeling great behavior. Your daughter learns from you what it means to be a woman who lives a big life. In a world where we are building strong and confident women, aren't you the best example to show her? This whole idea that we want our daughters to dream big dreams. But for some reason, a lot of us don't think that that's possible for us. But think about the legacy you are giving to your daughter when she watches you do the big thing you've always wanted to do. When she watches you living your best life, think about what a gift that can be to her. Think about doing that while she's in your house every day. You're not waiting until she leaves. You're actually modeling this incredible behavior while she's there. What an example. What a legacy. And it's not just our daughters. Think about what we're teaching our sons when we do this. When our sons see us being the very best version of ourselves, they understand that a woman's job isn't just to take care of the family. And I'm not saying just like being a mom is, just something we do. I'm not saying that at all. But think about what you're teaching your son when he sees a mom who is stepping up to live her very best life. He is learning from you that it's not a woman's job to run herself into the ground while dad sits on the couch. He's learning from you what it looks like to be a great partner. You're inviting your spouse to step up and be supportive of you. And that's what men are supposed to be doing. That we are raising sons to respect women. We are raising our sons to be great partners for their future spouses. Talk about an incredible legacy for your sons. Shouldn't the best example of what it means to have a great marriage, to be a good partner, shouldn't that example start with you? I feel like it should. I know that, gosh, it probably sounds like a lot, like I'm really coming at you. But trust me, this isn't selfish. It's necessary. At some point, you're going to have to stop living your life for everyone else around you. You're going to have to stop doing the things for everyone else around you with the idea that I will finally get to myself when the time is right, or the kids leave, or after retirement, or when things are perfect, or when things settle down at work. No, 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 no. You get one shot at this life. When are you going to start finally living for yourself? Only you can answer that question. On day one of the masterclass, we talked just briefly about the top 5 regrets of the dying. They were, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. And I wish I'd let myself be happier. I don't want you to have any of these regrets, because the thing is, you are at a point right now where you can make a decision to live the second half of your life differently. If you are one of the women who raised their hand for the masterclass and said, well, I'm not quite midlife yet, I'm on the younger side, or I'm actually not even midlife, I'm too old now. Listen, hear me. Just because you don't call yourself midlife and this is the school of midlife doesn't mean that you cannot benefit from all of these frameworks and strategies inside the lab. We are going to get you starting to live the life in alignment with the person that you are right now, not someone you were 10, 15, 20, 40 years ago, but who you are right now. Because so long as you still have some life ahead of you, you can still create a life that is meaningful. You can still figure out what you actually want and what success means to you and what your best life looks like, and get busy living it instead of waiting. And I want you to do that because I don't want you to have these regrets. I don't want you to wake up 10 years from now and say to yourself, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life the others expected of me. This is about self-trust. This is about discernment. This is about making your own decisions. I want to do the things that are true to me, not what everybody else expects of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. This is not only in the office. For midlife women, this is working to keep the family together. This is working to keep everyone happy. This is working to keep relationships going, even when you're the only one doing the work. At some point, you have to understand that you can only provide so much. I don't want you to have a regret that you work so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Oh my God, this is you saying what's on your mind. This is you not mincing words. This is you having the confidence to know what you want and say the damn thing when it needs to be said. I wish I'd let myself be happier. You don't have to be a martyr in this life. You're not here to provide for everybody else. You don't have to be the rule follower and the disciplinarian in your family and the person who is always so serious. You are allowed to have fun. You are allowed to live a big life that's full of excitement. You can let yourself be happier. I'm sure that this sounds like a lot, but I don't want you living with regrets. But here's the other thing. I can't want more for your life than you do. If we were in person, if I was sitting across the table from you right now, I would actually grab you by the shoulders and I would give you a little shake. And I would remind you that you get one shot at this life. You've spent it being a daughter and a wife and a mother. All great. That's so good. But who are you in this season of life? Who are you that is going to embrace the second half of your life and live it as best life you? I want to give that woman a shake and say, I'm proud of you for what you've done right now. And I know that you are going to have the courage to figure this out. I know that the best life is just ahead of you. You've had a pretty damn good life up until this point, but amazing what is in store for you. But you have to take the first step. You have to take the first step. It's time to choose the life you have, the life you're living now, or the life you want. And I can help you with that. But you have to meet me halfway. And not even halfway. All you have to do is raise your hand and say yes to the lab. Let's get in the lab. Let's figure out what you want. Let's figure out who you are in this season of life. Let's figure out what success means to you. Let's envision your best life and put together a plan to make that happen before time runs out. I don't want you to have any regrets, but you've got to choose the life you have now or the one you want. You have to choose. You've got to say yes yourself. The founding cohort of the lab is now open. I'm inviting you to join us. I am inviting you to become the woman you were always meant to be. If you still have some concerns about trust, I have enough trust for the both of us. I have enough trust for everyone on this call. I know what I bring to the table, and I know what can happen when I give you the tools to make your own decisions, have a little discernment, and trust yourself. I have enough trust for all of us. We get started on February 12th. Our kickoff call is in 3 days. It is this week. That means in order to be on the kickoff call, I got to close the doors down on February 11th. You've got a couple more days to think about it. You have a couple more days to watch the replays if you need to. But it's decision time. The fact that you have been here, either live or on replay, for 5 days with me tells me you want something more. The fact that you raised your hand to come to a masterclass that gave you information about what you're feeling and why you're feeling that way says to me that you are ready to try something different. Choose yourself, but you got to make a decision. I need you to say yes to yourself by February 11th at 11:59 p.m. We get started with the 8-week intensive on February 18th. And you get all of this for under $1,000. If $1,000 is too much for you right now, we have 2 pay and 3 pay available. This should be an easy lift for you. I want to make this as much of a no-brainer as possible. But I need you to raise your hand and say, I'm ready for this. I choose the life that I want. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I am ready to figure out what it is, because I do know that I have a pretty good life right now, but it still feels like something's missing. I don't know what it is, but I'm ready to find out. That's a wrap on the masterclass, my friends. My gosh, we have covered a lot of ground. Your time is so valuable. It means a lot to me to have you here. I hope to see your name on the Best Life Lab roster. We'll get started this week. It's going to be amazing. Let's do this. I'll see you soon.